Thank you for joining me in the Solvent Direct studio at the Good Life Gang Mansion, Las Vegas, Nevada, MJ Bizcon Week 2023. I am Catherine Sidman and so excited about this panel. When Lex and I were putting the panels together, the idea for this one is that operators need every tool in their toolkit to remain efficient and profitable putting out high quality extracts in this game right now. And so we thought about how do we do that? We got an equipment manufacturer, we have a consumables, finishing products, filtration manufacturer, and to keep it all real, we have a manufacturer. And so I want to talk about how we support the industry. This is my poster child for the industry right here. I'm going to start with you, Calvin. Introduce yourself and talk about how what you do with Busy Bee is supporting folks like farmers to stay in the game right now.
Thank you very much, Kat. I'm Calvin Jones. I'm with Busy Bee. We're out of Tacoma, Washington. And we make modular extraction equipment, hydrocarbon extraction equipment. Key aspect of our business has always been providing versatile equipment to give operators the options to be able to make the end products that they want and be able to make the SKUs that they want or that their clients want to be made. So for us, having a diverse tool bag in your extraction kit is very important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thanks. Sean, introduce yourself. Tell us what you do.
I am Sean Duffy. I'm with Media Bros, and we're out of Portland, Oregon, and we supply and produce filter media for the extraction market. Everything that we produce, just like like Calvin said, is a tool to be used in the lab for producers. Mm-hmm. And everything we produce is all organic, all natural, and or food safe to use.
I love that. I love that. And as my unbiased representative of the industry, now you have to tell us that you use both their products.
Yeah. I'm Don Romero. I'm owner of Farmers Quality Concentrates, New Mexico-based cannabis extract manufacturer and edible manufacturer. And yeah, I actually happen to use both of these gentlemen's products. We have 2 Busy Bee hexapods, and we go through about 50 kilograms of Media Bros a month.
Can you and I talk? You guys don't listen for a minute. This isn't about you. Don, I want to ask you a question. When filtration media first hit your radar and people were looking at that, you and I were talking about, you described it as a sledgehammer.
Yeah.
How people were using it.
As the cannabis industry kind of adapted chromatography, and it actually wasn't with hydrocarbon at first. It was with distillate. It was cleaning up distillate. We were trying.
Do you know anything about distillate?
Yeah, a little bit. we were trying to really perfect water tech and clear D9, and chromatography is an essential step in that. And so we were familiar with chromatography once it kind of became a hydrocarbon thing, the dreaded CRC word that I hate so much. But when it was kind of introduced to the industry as, hey, this is also a method we can use with this type of extract. So yeah, we've seen it as a company, and I've seen it as an extractor since it was unveiled. Mm-hmm. And it's changed the game, to be honest. We use it, quite a bit. All processors and extractors use it quite a bit. I mean, maybe there's some out there that say they don't, or still don't, but it's a huge tool in the industry right now. Yeah. Material is not created equal. There's a huge spectrum of from shit horrible material to absolutely perfect, flower ready to smoke material, and we extract everything in between. Right. So to say, CRC is bad or chromatography is bad, I mean, and I'm not going to use it as a company. Either you're in some amazing, perfect market that I've never been to, or you're full of shit, or you just don't understand the technology. And so in the current market and reality, we have to use some sort of filtration, some sort of remediation, and a lot of times, depending on the quality of the product or the condition of the product or the age of the product, we might have to use a lot. We might have to use a higher strength type of chromatography, and consumable companies like Media Bros allow a wide range of different stuff we can use to dial in exactly what we need to do to fix or, purify or make the best out of what we're given.
I think, Sean, I want to go to you after you introduce yourself. I want you to touch on what Don's saying, because I think what he's saying is these are the tools I need in my toolkit so that I can maximize my return on this run. And speak a little bit to that, to how operators can modify their use of filtration based on their input material.
Yeah, absolutely. So I like to think of it in terms of the value proposition of the products that they're producing. And Don's right. I mean, if you're extracting any sort of biomass, there is absolutely no consistency across the board. It doesn't matter if it's coming from an indoor lab or an outdoor grow. Every piece of biomass that comes across his machine is going to have some sort of variability. And to be able to produce a consistent product on the output side of things means he has to figure out how to create some sort of value out of that, right? And the highest inflection point of value that he can create does occur when he takes probably some older biomass, maybe some degraded biomass, and then converts that biomass, or doesn't convert it, rather filters out the color bodies and creates a shelf-stable, good-looking product for his customers. Yeah. And that's kind of the key to it, really, is there isn't just one type of tool to use as in that tool belt. He has the ability to access multiple types of media, multiple types of filtration, whether it's just particle size exclusion or whether it's actual, chemistry going on. We're actually removing polar molecules to get at something. He can do that with chromatography, or he can do that with a simple filtration method. It doesn't matter what it is. These are just tools to expand and increase the value of the products that he has.
Calvin, when you train operators, when you talk to your beast wranglers, how aware and how flexible are they at using different combinations of media, different amount of media based on the input material? What are some of the calculations that they make as they assess the input material for this consistent extract that they want to make on the other end?
Well, I feel like there's still a lot of guesswork in that. People are still having to do trial and error to figure out what's working with them. If you don't have control over your source material, then you're kind of shooting in the dark with being able to even dial in what you need for, that type of product. So, for one, like the early stages of CRC, people were just kind of throwing everything at the board, using a little bit of everything. They found out that you could take old bag trim and make it look beautiful, even though you can't make it smell and taste good. So, that kind of led into the overuse of it. But I feel like we're coming to a stage now where there is more understanding on using it more so to help create a consistent product and just to minimize some of the undesirables that we're looking to avoid anyway. A big point of extraction is to, make concentrate the desired compounds and leave behind undesirables. And I feel like CRC really kind of helps lead the way in doing that. And filtration is important in general. So
it's a further refinement of the extraction we're already doing. We're already using cold butane because we don't want a lot of chlorophyll. We're already using cold butane because we don't want a lot of fats, waxes, lipids.
Yeah, there's a lot of methods
already doing things to select out, right?
For sure.
And so by further selecting out, Sean, by further selecting that out, it's not always because we have terrible inputs. Good cannabis input material has chlorophyll in it. Good cannabis input material has waxes in it. Talk about just further refinement of an already selective extraction process.
Yeah, I mean, if you're an operator and you're extracting, let's say, even fresh frozen, every BHO extractor knows that on some level there's a little bit of cloudiness to that material. And why is that cloudiness exist? Well, there is some foreign particulate contamination that exists. I mean, I could get into the dirty side of fresh frozen, which is aspergillus, which is like black mold, which lives on a lot of cannabis. It's a happy home for it. But in reality, the further refinement comes from some stage level filtration. And like I said before, this can happen on a micron level, whether it's just simply a piece of filter paper, or if you need to go more aggressively. And I say aggressively loosely. Realistically, these are really gentle scrubs. These are just gentle polishing tools to take an oil that would otherwise be cloudy and maybe just make it a little bit more clear, right? Nothing has changed. You haven't changed the terpenes. You haven't adulterated the biomass in any sort of way. You've really just sort of taken a little bit of that cloudiness away and you've added some sheen to it. If you were processing again with some cured biomass that would, let's say, is a little bit older and does have some color bodies to it, you can absolutely selectively, really during the extraction process, look at that solution, focus purely on the color bodies, pull those out through selective filtration, and then leave behind everything else behind. You don't have to touch the terpenes. And that is the name of the game, right? Flavor is the name of the game. It's the cannabinoids, it's the terpenes, it's all about that.
I think consumers are buying, first of all, the brand. Like if we set aside the brand and we just had jars set out, right? Yeah. They're buying with their eyes, but they're buying for the second time with their nose.
The nose.
The nose.
Well,
right?
the factor, when you asked earlier, like what factors are we looking at when we decide, how much we're going to remediate a product? What I teach my guys, right out the bat is the age of the material. We're dealing with a decomposing, degrading, oxidizing material. So, a lot of pigment, we found that a lot of pigment comes from that oxidation process. And if we can dial in, how old the material is it 2-month-old material? Is it month-old material? Is it last year's fucking harvest? We can really start to see, you know what I mean? How much we need to address the pigment or whatever. And obviously everything's different. It's not all created equal, but we can kind of start to dial in. If something's a month old, it looks great. I'm not going to fucking hit it with a full column of media. I might not even hit it at all. And what's cool is a lot of equipment manufacturers are actually giving you bypass options now to where you can see your material, you can see the color of it, and you can decide, okay, am I gonna send it through just the filter plates or bag filters, or am I gonna send it through actual chromatography and media and remediate it that way? So I mean, we have bypass valves or whatever, choosing valves on our columns, and we're able to, even if it maybe halfway through the run, the first bit of the run looked great, and all of a sudden it starts getting dark, boom, we can immediately change it and start sending, so then you're only partially, remediating or removing pigment from that run. So there's different ways you can address it, either as you've already started extracting or just by age and condition of the material.
We were talking earlier, Calvin, about as consumers, it's nice to buy an $80 gram. It's nice when Echo Electri drops them all off on your counter at the Good Life Gang party. We're all smoking on that. Indeed. But also like on the daily, like you're a consumer. Tell me about, as a consumer, what you look for your like daily ride.
Yeah, well, I like consuming cannabis in multiple, forms. And I have appreciation for hash across the board, so I'm not really biased to one form or another. But regardless, I'm looking for a good quality. I'm looking for, clean extracts. And a big part of that is being able to kind of know where it's coming from, have brands that you trust and are putting in the work to like educate their consumers about the processes they're doing and what they're, doing. But overall, I can't really, like I say, complain about smoking less undesirables. And the more I learn about how our food, beverage industries work, they're all filtering everything. They're all using aggressive solvents to isolate compounds all the time. And just saying like color mediation, like Don was saying that, it's kind of a stigma with just using that term because we're not only color mediating, we're just doing filtration. You may be trying to, use a specific media for a specific purpose, some pigments or other, compounds that you're trying to remove. And when it comes down to it, yeah, we wish everything could be fresh, live, fresh frozen, that's extracted that day, that, was handled with the care of an infant, but that's not really how it goes. So you have to be able to create a consistent product. And people like smoking everything. Sometimes I like smoking that $100 gram. Sometimes that's not the day for it, or some people can't afford that. So should they have to smoke a less quality item just because it's, a little bit more budget, or could we still find ways to bring the quality level up across the board? And I really feel like that's part of what using like conscious filtration methods has given us, the ability to kind of make everything a little bit better. And for me, it's just like, long as we're not being deceitful, if I'm like telling you, hey, this is slightly filtered, I'm not calling it something that it's not, I'm not calling it live resin when it's really bag trash, then that's good business practices as far as I'm concerned, it's still a transparency for that. So
You know what's crazy is when you know CRC extracts or chromatography extracts really started hitting the market. I always listen to consumer feedback, and I noticed that a lot of my older clientele really preferred like a nice white, clean, you know, isolated dab. And they said it was smoother, it hit better, it was cleaner. You know, they were also used to smoking, you know, warm extracted, you know, waxy crap. But to them, you know, yeah, there might have been some different flavors there or whatever, but it was much cleaner for them to smoke or dab an actual refined extract. So it's all about what people like, what the consumer likes.
sure.
Not only is it about making a clean product, but if you know, there's a ton of people that love clean dabs and love that super remediated you know, product. So yeah, I mean, I think there's room for everything in the market.
Yeah,
Indeed.
I mean, you're kind of making a good point, really, and it's something that I'm thinking about now as you're saying it, which is like those white clean dabs, like almost perfectly clear. To be fair, most of the newer smokers out there, you're right, they don't really want those dabs. They don't want that like limonene, pinene dab, and the reason why is because they're more sophisticated. But there's a truth in what you just said, which is the cleanliness of that dab. That dab has been filtered to the extreme. And the reason why it hits smooth is because all of the co-contaminants have been filtered out. You can't smoke chlorophyll and say, yeah, that felt great.
Yeah, right.
Right? It's just not going to happen. So the goal and the reality of the goal is, and if you're looking at this from a consumer and a business side, is like, hey, if I want to make a nice dab, I want that dab to have the maximum amount of terpenes, right? The maximum amount of flavor, and just basically gently polish it. I'm not looking to scrub it with a sledgehammer. I'm looking to like basically just really touch it up lightly. And I'm just looking for the color bodies. That's all I'm looking for. And then you do get a dab that not only does it look great, but you've also removed the stuff that you just can't really smoke. It doesn't need to be in the extract at all. There's no reason for a lipid to be in your dab. There's no place for it. It doesn't add any value. You didn't do anything good for yourself. Contrarily, you probably, you know.
Well, and I've been hated for the statement before, and I'll make it again because I don't give a fuck. But you know, if you're talking medicinal grade, pharmaceutical grade, if you're talking my cannabis is my medicine, there's a couple arguments that we have there. If you're talking for pharmaceutical chemistry clean, you're talking isolate or distillate, and clean isolate and distillate
For dosage,
but those are
reasons,
you know, or isolated terpenes or whatever. You're talking about very clean substances, and if you you know, a lot of people would argue, including myself, that's where you're on a medicinal pharmaceutical grade level.
I feel that.
Once you step back into the stuff we love, the super flavorful, you know, bright yellow dabs or whatever, even the amazing, you know, rosin or whatever, you know, 6-star, blah, 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 blah. You're not smoking a necessarily clean product. You're smoking a unfiltered product. You're smoking a unremediated product. So when you're vaporizing, whatever, because once again, smoking, combusting things is not healthy. You know what I mean? And we all know that no matter how much we love weed or whatever we're doing, there's cleaner, safer ways to consume. And as we evolve as an industry, we really have to come to terms with it. We have to accept it. Believe me, I love, you know, the best live resin out there, the best, you know, 6-star hash, but I'm also not going to fucking lie to myself and tell me I'm consuming, you know, something that's truly clean on that level, on a pharmaceutical level. Whereas isolates, distillates, different types of stuff like that is, you know, those could be put into our body without us, you know, getting sick or you know, having issue. Those are technically, if done right, sterile products. So if you're looking at it on that level and you're looking at it as what is medicine, what is pharmaceutical grade, what is clean, you unfortunately got to cross out all the amazing tasting, great, wonderful extracts that we and the rest of the connoisseur community stand by and love. So it's kind of a hard, not
for sure,
you know, accepted argument, but it's fucking true. And so, you know what I mean? If you're talking about the next level of cannabis and the next level of that medicinal side, you can't deny, you know, what is clean, under scientific standards.
Yeah, because pharmaceutical medicine is all isolates and distillates and, you know, very specific compounds, you know?
So there's so many sides of this industry that require hard remediation. And I don't think it's ever going to go anywhere, no matter how many memes are put out against the wicked evil CRC.
And I don't think it should. And I think, Sean, as you talk to your customers about how they effectively use their product, talk to me about some of the ways that they're able to absorb the additional costs. Like there's a cost involved in another process, right? But tell me what the benefits of that cost are.
Oh man, there's a health cost, there's a monetary cost, and then there's also an operating cost. And that operating cost is kind of really where we focus in on, not just on the lab operating cost, but also the quality of that the lab is able to put out. When you look at extraction in general, like, you know, we talked about earlier, like the variability of the biomass that's coming in. You know, if you've got a farmer out there with like 50,000 pounds of, you know, biomass getting cut down from the stick and then being stored in the warehouse, that first run to the last run is not going to look the same, right?
Right.
And that means that as you're processing that biomass, you're going to go through different stages of quality. And so if you can efficiently manage, like Don was talking about earlier, like maybe my first run, I don't even CRC. By the time I get to my second, third, fourth run, then I finally need to start CRCing a little bit. That is ideally the goal. Everything that we process is on a gradient of some level, and everything that we process does need to be measured in that way. And in terms of the products that like we put out, we give the ability not just of the processor to extend the lifespan of his shelf space or the quality of that shelf space, but rather the lifespan of the you need to figure out a way to extract the most amount of value out of every gram of biomass that's coming through that extraction machine, right? So if you've got a nice scalable machine like a Busy or something like that, you can modularly set that thing up exactly the way you need it to for that scenario. Or if Don's running it, he can run a bypass, or he can set it up for a different solvent ratio. And it's entirely expirational, like in terms of experiential, in terms of their ability to observe and reflect and then, you know, make that product happen. But again, I'm showing up and able to provide the tools to create that value, right? And that's my only goal. And to do that safely and to do that in a transparent way that says like, hey, these are all food safe. These are all like, you know, NSF or FDA certified. That provides value, not just because can he then take a product that was older and make it look good, but also be kind of assured that he's not putting out bunk in the marketplace. Right? Because that is one of the main criticisms of the anti-CRC crowd is like, oh, it's bunk. You're just making it worse. You're adding chemicals to it. No, like I smoke weed.
Yeah.
Like I like a good dab. Why would I do anything that I inherently want to enjoy myself?
Well, and it's going back to the thing that you said in the beginning. Based on this input material, what is the highest dollar value? What can we do that makes this input material the highest dollar value for that product?
Indeed.
Right?
And being manufacturers, it's very important for us to take that approach for our clients because, you know, our clients are making a product that is going to their clientele. So we really have to be able to give the versatility and the tools that the clients can utilize to actually give their clients the, you know, products that they expect. And then like you're saying, you know, if you're a manufacturer and you're toll processing and you have a 50,000 pound, you know, harvest contract, it's very important to be able to give out a consistent product for that whole batch, you know? And if you don't have the possibility of doing that, it's oxidizing for weeks or months. And like you said, those first high quality, great, you know, fresh monoterp rich extracts isn't the same thing you're producing weeks later. So being able to provide consistent products and get away from the era of like, oh, hey, can you extract this for me? Oh yeah, well, this is the best I can do. This is what I got. You know, it's like, this is not what you wanted. This is what I got, you know?
Yeah.
So it's moving away from that and giving people the ability to get the type of extracts that they're looking for so they can give the clients what they're looking for as well, you know, the users. So I'm all for being able to do more with hash and BHO, you know, and like, why not expand our knowledge base to utilize different, you know, tools and methodology that is used in every industry around us.
Right.
So
Well, value is the name of the game. Like these guys are saying is we're all attempting to provide a value to our customer and secure that customer and that consumer based on that, in a sense, based on that value. And from the Busy Bee machines to the media using them to the products made with them, if we can work together and continue to create that value, that's the synergistic relationship.
Big time,
That's
for
where
sure,
we continue to help each other, and then that spills out into the consumer base by value.
Indeed, yeah,
by
it's
providing
really
that value.
I feel like it's really important that us along that whole line of chain of command really work together and build those relationships and have transparency with each other and supporting each other, because it's the end consumer that is going to be at the receiving end of that, and then all of our business relies on them coming back. So it's really I like where things are going, honestly. I feel like people are getting a lot more educated. There's a lot more people from crossover industry that are classically trained in medicine and science, and we're able to kind of blend that together so we can get some of the best products out there.
And to do it consistently, right?
Definitely.
Like if you're ability to put out a consistent product on the shelf, because inevitably Don wants to be the king of his market, right? He, like everybody
spoiler
else,
alert. Don's the king of his fucking market.
right? And how does he do that? It's consistently providing the quality.
Yeah.
And his consumers, like, by the time they pick up his brand, by the time they've picked up the second box, he's built that loyalty into them.
And they trust in the value.
Mhm.
They trust in the value, and that's where, like I said, that collectiveness comes together, and that's where good products, that's where the quality and integrity in the industry is really, I think, established, and with everybody.
Indeed.
Yeah, that's it. I want to thank you guys. I want to thank you again for being here
Thank
and
you,
having
Kat.
the conversation. You guys are the best, and what you're bringing to each of your customers is something I really appreciate. And I got to tell you, if one of you were to offer me some finished products right now, I have a favorite. If of all the things that you all make,
Okay,
there's one finished product that I like the best. But I want to thank you so much for joining us here in the Solvent Direct studio. Busy Bee, Media Bros, and Farmers. That's it. Farmers Quality.
Thanks so much. You're always a
Yes.
great
Thank you
host,
very
Kat.
much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
Education, medication, all at its finest. Thanks to the Good Life Game.